electricity doesn't have to be scary like lightning. We can use electricity for a lot of things. We just got to learn to harness electricity. So what we'd like to do today is talk about how we can use electricity.
You know nothing's getting done.
Okay, my name is Jeff Prudent, and today I'd like to talk to you about electricity. I've got assembled over here all of the stuff to put together a small project, a small telegraph. It's actually an experiment that you can do with fourth graders. It's part of the curriculum now in the Common Core, and it's an experiment that my wife and I have done with her class a couple of times in the past few years. We're going to put together a telegraph. It uses the concepts of a circuit, which is basically electricity going from an electrical source from one end of the electrical source, from the negative end. The electrons travel through. They do some task in the middle. In this case, we're going to make an electromagnet. Then they're going to travel back to the positive end of the battery. They'll be interrupted by a switch, and then there's a single little wire that comes up and taps the nail, and it makes a pretty distinct sound, like a telegraph machine if you've ever watched an old western. And it's pretty simple. We use really simple stuff. We're going to use two brads, little paper brads that you would normally use. You get them in the workroom at your grade schools. They usually have boxes of them to hold papers together. It's a primitive concept we used to use when I was little. We now use these things called staples, electric staples, and whatever. We're going to use two brads, two paper clips, a nail. You can just go pull one out of your car. You usually get one of those at a very most inopportune time. Two pieces of wire. I like to use the insulated wire. I'll discuss it a little bit more, but I got this stuff at Radio Shack. And I'm using a single battery today, but a lot of times you can use two or three. And I'll discuss some of the experiments and stuff as we go along that you can do with this. But I hope that it'll help you, and I hope it's something that'll intrigue you and maybe pique your interest and make it so that you can understand that classrooms don't have to be all about bookwork. They can be fun and exciting, and when you make them fun and exciting, that's when kids learn. So. Okay, at this point, I'm going to zoom in so you can see the coils on the side of it. But if you look, you can see the coils, and you can see that I've wound that up just as tight as I can. This is an additional experiment that you can do with your students. You can show them that how two batteries will make an electromagnet more powerful, or you can show them that the more wraps you put on a nail, the more magnetic it will become. You can pick up things. You can test the number of things that they can pick up. Once you make your own electromagnet, you can use that for other things, but you can use that for a whole bunch of other experiments. Now, if you look at the end of this wire right here, you'll see that it's a little blurry. Okay. Well, maybe we can just zoom in on the end of the wire. That'll be easier. But you can see where that red, right here, where the red wire is different than the other color. What I've done is I've just taken a piece of sandpaper, right here, just a small piece of sandpaper, and we just rub it on the end of the wire and get rid of the thing. We've done the same thing to the other side. We use copper wire, copper core, solid copper core wire. The stuff that I bought at Radio Shack right here, insulated wrapping wire. It has insulation on it because if you have a short in your coils up here where they can go across, it ruins the use of the coil. So you get an insulated wire that's got a very, very, very thin insulation on it. This was probably about $5. So for this whole thing, You've probably got nails you can usually find in your tire at inopportune times, so those are really cheap. A couple of brads you can get in the school resource room. They usually have, or resource, but the workroom, they usually have boxes of these. You only need a couple for each student. You could set your students up in pairs of 3. Rubber bands, people ship stuff in rubber bands, so they're really a cheap commodity. You can also find those or order those through usually your library or your workroom. If your district does that, they'll provide that kind of stuff. You just got to ask in advance and plan. Be well prepared to plan this out. Okay, I'm going to put the rest of this together, and then I'll show you what it looks like. We're going to slip the brads through, connect the wires to them, put the paper clip on, and then I'll show you what it looks like right here when we're done with that, and hook the circuit up. Okay. Now we've assembled our switch. We've taken the one lead off the coil that comes to the bottom, followed it over. We've taken it on one end of this and we've tied it around the brad. I wrap it around the brad and then I stick the brad through and I just put the paper clip on there. The paper clip is going to act as our switch and it's going to complete the circuit to this other brad. I tie the other blue wire here around and I take that to the back side of the battery. On this simple circuit, the polarity of the battery, meaning plus or minus end, the little end with the barb right here, that's the plus end. The minus end really doesn't matter because it doesn't matter which direction the electricity flows. It will create, because of the coil of wire and the electrical up there, it will turn this nail into a giant magnet. Okay. Then the other end of this coil right here, it comes up around, comes down, and it hooks to the other end of the battery. Okay. So that when we push this switch, okay, it actually makes the deal go up and down. And if you can hear the difference between the two, let me put this back over here. Hold on. That magnet actually makes that noise.
It ain't the ground, it's the bite that hurts. Thunder's just a noise, boys, lightning does the work. Well, I've heard thunder talking up a storm, rattling my windows, knocking on my door.